So look, I was watching a podcast the other day where they were talking about who cheats more, men or women. And I thought, what an interesting, and it was such an interesting topic, and the discussion was actually quite interesting. So I thought, well, let's have a talk about it on our podcast. And admittedly, we're three guys who probably have a slightly warped opinion. On the podcast I listened to, it was boys and girls. Unfortunately, we don't have that pleasure just yet. But yeah, I just thought I'd pose the question to you guys. What do you think from your opinion?
AD.
Who cheats more?
Yeah, who cheats more, men or women?
I reckon men get caught more. But I think women are snakes with hips, mate.
See, I think men do.
Yeah.
Like, only because, I mean, I've only ever cheated. I've cheated once when I was 20. I kissed a girl about 3 weeks before I split up in a long-term relationship, and that's it. That's the only time I've ever done it. But the amount of guys that think with their appendage and try and get away, I know loads of guys that have done it. I'm not going to name any of them. Well,
the interesting thing about the person on the podcast, Andy Tate, you know this, you know him, AD. His opinion was, and I thought it was such a funny opinion, but also a little true. I'm not going to lie. His opinion was that men don't cheat, women cheat. He says men fuck over women, but that's not cheating. So his view was that for a man,
whereas women get into relationships.
Well, no. So I found it really funny. He said a woman for women, sex is all about emotions. So women don't just shag random men. There has to be something there. There has to be something. Generally speaking, emotional connection. He's like, a man can fuck a bitch.
Flick a switch.
He says, and one of his friends could say, "Oh, Stacey, she got run over by a car yesterday," and he said he won't even bat an eyelid. That was his point. That was what he was saying. He was like, so for men, it's not cheating because it's just sex, but for women, it's cheating because they're emotionally involved. Now, I
was looking at stats.
This isn't my opinion. Let me just point out. I just thought it was quite an interesting view on it.
I was looking at stats on the ages of like people cheating and what percentages and stuff.
Okay.
And they were saying that from the age of 18 to 29, women cheat more than men.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, from the age of 30 upwards, it's men all the way through.
Well, they talked about that on this podcast today, and do you know, they mentioned that exact stat actually. In fact, they said 18 to 35 on that, but he was like, but why isn't it 35 women and older? He says no guys wanting to fuck 35-year-old women. He says guys happy to bang 18, 19, 20-year-old girls, but when you get to 35, 40, 45, guys ain't want to bang them.
Yeah.
That was the view. That was the reason as to why that stat is so skewed. Because what were they saying? They were like, no older woman looks at a younger guy and thinks, oh yeah, I'd love to bang him. But younger women look at older men and think, he could pay my bills.
It's the whole daddy issue, isn't it? It's the whole daddy issue thing.
I mean, I don't want to sit here and say I'm living this lifestyle, but but I'm 38, and he's right. You look at I'm 38, I'm single, and I'm looking around, and it is right. You don't look at the older women and go, don't get your heart racing. It is, obviously there's a cut-off line, but that floor factor or whatever you want, that wow factor certainly goes.
Yeah.
But then obviously, when we're talking about men as well, long-term relationships, men men tend to, in longer term relationships, I think the stats probably favour the man for his eyes wandering, because he's been with the missus.
It's people get too comfy, and they get that. We've heard it. It's the stuck in the rut. It's all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but that's probably why a lot of men and I guess women, because it's probably a split, right? It's probably an even split. It depends on who they are, what's going through the relationship. But if you're not providing anything for each other, but you're just there, what's the point?
So why do men cheat, AD? Because they ain't getting at home what they need, right?
What they want.
What they need. So you're telling how many people our age do we know that are in relationships that get it once every 4 or 5 months? Yeah. So and then
want to raise your hand, anybody?
I'm not in a relationship.
But then how, if that is your situation, how can you be surprised if your man's out ploughing some other field?
It's because it's being shown interest, isn't it? It's being shown interest by somebody, desired. Men, we talk about all this a lot, about men's feelings and men's emotions, but we like to feel desired.
Yeah,
we like to feel somebody's attracted to us and wants us. That's the biggest turn on for a guy, is to know that somebody wants you. Like, unequivocally, they want you. That's it.
Here you go. Let's set the scene. And I've been in this, in a long-term relationship. You come home from work, you get home to your kids and your missus. She's sorting out dinner. You'll help do dinner. You put the kids to bed, and you're like, fancy a bit. I'm ready for it. And they're like, can't be asked.
Yeah.
They go to bed early.
Yeah, but do you know what? And every now and again, you can accept that.
Yeah.
But when that's every night, and you're sat on the sofa at 9 o'clock having to think about going to bed or tossing the salad yourself.
Yeah, literally. And it's that dilemma. I did it. I used to come home from work. I used to come home late, 10 o'clock, be in bed, and I'd be sat there and I'd be like, do I knock one out here or in the shower, or do I go in to get into bed? And those times where you're like, I'm going to get into bed and try it, and then you reject, and then you lay there going, how the hell do I get out of this room to go and knock one out? What excuse can I make?
Oh, I left the bins out.
Yeah, I need another shower.
Yeah,
and you lay there and you just, and that's after a while.
Yeah,
it's a horrible thing, and it's not something that anybody's proud of. You do start to go, oh, and then somebody comes along in the honeymoon period. Somebody comes along in an early relationship, like early days in the interest phase, and shows you interest. It's hard to reject it. It's hard to look away because you're being desired, and and then you start going, well, old Naggy at home isn't putting out, but you're going to. It's such a
we're easily led, men and women. Weighed
men and women,
by that desire from someone else.
Was it Chris Rock that says that, the great philosopher Chris Rock, he says that men are as faithful as their options.
Yeah,
but it's true. If you're in a relationship and that person is, like we said, life, everything takes we are knackered sometimes. But if you're with somebody and you can't keep your hands off each other, and there's that sexual desire all the time, why on earth would you want to go and look elsewhere, like either of you? Because you have that one-way thing between both of you. You both want each other. Show it.
I don't think women appreciate that enough. Like, it's what this happens when you get in a relationship, the intimacy fizzles out to virtually nothing. I read a stat that most married couples have sex 53 times a year. That's the average. So one a week, right? That's just one a week's your average. Now, for some people, that's not enough. But even one a week, what if it's once a month, right? So then it's once a month. So your relationship started to fizzle out on the intimacy side. and then somebody else presents and says, come on, have a look over here. You go over here. You come home, but you get caught cheating. You get caught. You're the bad guy. You're the bad guy for cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because you can see it, because you see it, you read about it all the time, and everyone has mates or people they know that have gone through it.
Yeah.
And they're made out to be the worst thing ever. But then you flip it on it and you go, hang on, the ins and outs of it is you're living at home basically with a roommate.
A roommate, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're going, hang on, why wouldn't I've got needs as a human? Why wouldn't I want to go and explore that? If I'm not getting that desire from home or getting the action, you're out.
Adi, we've talked about it, haven't we? It's not even sex. Holding hands, cuddle on the sofa.
Up, mate.
Even
the little bits.
Yeah, even if you're not getting that,
it's the little bits.
That starts to look appealing elsewhere.
Yeah, but it's also that wanting to feel wanted, and and we all want that, and it's having somebody make an effort to make an effort to please your needs. They're taking themselves out of their situation and thinking about them to make you feel admired, wanted, that sort of thing. And guys do it. We'll go and, do you know what? We'll take Mrs. out for dinner. We'll wine and dine. We'll buy her some flowers. And we make them feel appreciated. And then it's the old, you hear the girls, oh, then I had to put out for him, didn't I? And it's like, but how that doesn't happen to the guy, does it? How often you see it in the movies where the guy comes home and the girl's in a little lingerie, comes out the bathroom. How does that happen in real life?
Fantasy, that's just never happened.
Yeah.
Never.
Why should it always be? Why should it always be a cost involved? When you're trying to, let's say you're going, right, things have been shit this week. We're going to go out for dinner. I'm going to take you out for dinner because you want some, like you want to reconnect. But then there's the cost. You're going for dinner, but it's on you. You buy flowers, it's on you. Sort of babysitter out, guess what? It's on you. So you go for
prostitution.
But yeah, exactly. But then you get home and you go,
cheaper.
I'm too bloated, or no, I'm too tired, and you just think, fuck my life. Okay, well, what do I need to do? I know.
I need you for 5 minutes, love. Like
twice.
Yeah. But
just a disclaimer, anyone listening, it's not twice in 5 minutes.
Twice, I'll be happy with twice in 5 minutes.
Let me ask. I'm going to move on from this topic as well in a second because I don't want this to be like a guys bitching about women not putting out podcast. But let me just ask you guys actually. So I've given you the stat as to what is the average times a year like a happily married couple have sex. 53 times a year is a statistic.
I want to know who they're getting that stat on.
What would you expect? Each of you, what if you were to put a number on it? Like, what would you expect as to be normal?
A couple of nights a week. That's what I would expect to be. If you're
twice a week.
Yeah,
so let's call it 100. You're saying 106 times a year
minimum.
Yeah. Twice on your birthday.
A month.
But we're the single guys.
Yeah, so what about you, Martin? But think to your relationship. We've all been in relationships.
Yeah, I was in a 9-year one.
Expected?
I'd have been well happy with once a week, like near the end of the relationship. But fucking hell, I think I was lucky if it was a couple of times.
What?
A year.
A year?
Yeah.
Wow.
But
wow.
Yeah. But like I said, I was coming home work from late. I was getting home at 10.
But that's no excuse. That's not an excuse because
that's me defending her.
Relationships are hard, right? They have to work. Everybody has to work. It has to work both ways. It can't just be what Adi says. We've got to take them out for dinner, pay for flowers, pay for this. It can't just be us. Can we do this? Please, can we have sex? You know what I mean?
It's got to be 50-50 in every single thing. I can't remember, but to your philosopher, Chris Rock, I think I shared you a video ages ago, something he said about relationships, and it was that, where's the effort gone? It shouldn't be 70-30 for the guy who is putting in the effort. And then you go and talk about all your girl mates. Oh, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. And you think, hang on a minute, it's got to be both ways. Has to be. It has to be 50-50.
I've got to take a time out. I'm going to go sort of child out because they're shouting.
Sure.
We're talking about that.
Sure. Well, let me just mute him. I don't want him shouting at the kids on the podcast. But yeah, no, I think as well, AD. I think about twice a week is probably. I asked my brother Bobby, and he was like, every day. I was like, you're not being real there, mate. Either you're with a nymph or
in the real world, Rocket, mate.
Every day. I was like, yeah, right. I mean, even I wouldn't be able to do it every day. I can tell you that much.
But it is. Do you know what? It's as sad as it is, and this is because we're older, right? You think about it. Certain stuff is very circumstantial. Very circumstantial. So when you're in a relationship, so if you've been at work and you've had a really good day, you're buzzing about stuff, you come home, you're full of it, but then your partner's been at work, had the shittest day ever, had nothing but stress, and you come home, of course it's going to be one-sided, and there's going to be times where you knock back and you go, okay, fair one, but there's only so many times you can take that knock back. As a guy, as a woman, when you start going, hang on a minute, I've had enough now.
Yeah, I always say that. I always say that to my wife. I always say that she's always glass half full. Always. Yeah. Is that right? No, is that right?
Glass half
empty. If it's negative, it's half empty, half full.
Always half everything. No matter what you say, it's always, oh well, yeah. What about this? Or we've
going back to the circumstances, and an experience from my relationship. When my firstborn was born, was a baby, I slept in the spare room for the first probably 9 months of her life because she was co-sharing a bed with Luann. And I think Ivy was one lucky night that Mila slept in her own bed. So there are lots of circumstances that contribute to the number of times you do it and stuff, but it does feel like it's so heavily male instigated.
Yeah, and you often there's so many times where you'll be rejected, and then you almost start to feel like a bit of a pest.
Yeah.
For wanting to have sex with your wife, it's like, am I a bad person?
And then it does nothing but knock your confidence.
Well, it's
100%.
I used to refer it to sales. You're selling yourself to try and get laid. I'm assuming that we've all done sales here. How many times when you're trying to sell something, you start off with enthusiasm, you're like, yeah, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell it. And then you get hit with a no. And then you get hit with another no. And then you get hit with another no. And then it's a constant no, to eventually where you're just like, I can't be fucking arsed.
Go for the easy sale, don't you?
Just go for the easy option. Not one out on the sofa.
Someone else
want to be rejected.
Someone else in the background going, I'll buy it.
Yeah. And that's it. And it is literally, it's such a shit analogy, but it's a sales pitch. And at first, that sales pitch, it's an easy sale. There's no effort in it because everybody wants it. It's like buying a PlayStation 5 or selling a PlayStation 5. When they're first new, you don't have to try. And then after a while, it's harder to sell it. And it's just
that honeymoon feeling, isn't it? That you spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
Whenever you're in a new relationship or whatever, it's all guns to the face. That's not real life. That's not how you're going to go, well, hang on, when we first got together, we used to do this, this, and this. You go, well, yeah. But that's because you
were in the kitchen washing up once and you took, and you were game. Now it's on washing up. Get away from me. You haven't put the dishwasher on properly, your son. I've got to reload it.
It's very much that at the start of it.
We're going to get shot. Well, you're going to get shot, Marco.
She doesn't listen, mate. Don't worry.
It's that delusion, isn't it, at the start of a relationship? It's all good, it's all great, and then you
Oh,
think,
that's right.
you think, sustainable? Is this sustainable? Probably not. You can't go out all the time. You can't go away every weekend. You can't spend every minute of every hour in each other's pocket. And you do as a new relationship, you do.
Hmm.
But once that fizzles out,
Yeah.
then that's when it starts, and you go, right, hang on, let's be real here. What can work? What's going to work? And that's probably why a lot of people, they get with someone and go, oh, you've changed. Well, no, it's just we were both in this little bubble at the start, and now we're in the real world, and we've all got families, we've all got kids. When they start coming into play, you start thinking there, you go, because I'm single, so if I've been on a couple of dates before, and it's like, oh, I can't make tonight now because I need to do something with my son, or he wants me. That will always take priority. Some
Yeah.
people still struggle in this day and age to get that in their head and go, oh, hang on, you're pinning me off. Oh, so you don't want to spend time with me? You go, well, no, that's not the case. It's the case of my priority is my kids.
Yeah.
So if they need me, that's it, hands down. It's only later on when you get into that stage where you introduce somebody, isn't it? And you become that what's it called? Blended
family.
Blended family, yeah. Because that's what majority is nowadays. Majority
Well,
of
that's what I was. That's what I was, and it was. Yeah, it's difficult. But let's not talk about blended families.
Yeah, great film though as well. Blended. If you've not seen it,
it is a good
brilliant
film.
Adam Sandler, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. We're blended.
Very true, isn't it?
Cruise. Yeah.